Hi there, I'm the Paranoid King. This is my first game analysis video for set 3.5, so I'm going to show you my current favorite comp, Astro Snipers. I definitely high-rolled this game, but it's a good way to highlight the ideal version of this comp. I tried to go for the sword off the carousel, as I like to prioritize damage items first, and my playstyle tends to revolve around physical damage comps. My second choice was Tier, as blue buff is a flexible offensive item and needs 2 copies of it. This has the same effect as Seraphs from last patch, but a unit can now only have 1 copy. I get an Ari from an orb. Mech Sorcerers is also a comp this patch, but it's probably better to sell her to pick up pairs of 1 costs early, especially in the Trade Sector Galaxy where everyone's boards are stronger. Brawler Blaster is also a consistently good comp this patch, even without Misfortune, so I pick up the Malphite and the Graves and sell the Ari for Caitlyn and Twisted Fate to keep Chrono open. The early game is all about being flexible to what the game gives you. I got 2 AP items, so I prioritize picking up Sorcerers. I still maintain as many pairs as I can though, not committing too early to 1 comp, as I don't know what I will get from the next items or shops. I got a Blitzcrank, so I can now run 2 Brawler or 2 Chrono. Ideally, I would level up to run Blitz, Malphite, Twisted Fate, and Ari for Brawler, Chrono, and Sorcerer, but I don't want to sell any of my pairs. Getting 2 stars is extra easy in this galaxy, and I will quickly fall behind if I can't make any soon, so it's worth the small loss here to keep my options open. I sold the Graves pair for the Annie, thinking about Mech Sorc, but I think that was a mistake. It would have been better to sell the 2 Caitlyns for the Lucian, because then I could have had 2 Blaster. I still only have 1 2-star, so I want to level here to keep from taking too much damage. What I should have done is sold the Ari and the Annie, and put in one of the Zoes to still have the Sorcerer buff. I should take some time here to scout and see what other people are building. It's too early to know what they will play in the late game, but I can get an idea of what units they are leaning towards. This is also a good moment to think about what I need to do to make my board stronger. If I keep getting Sorcerers, I can definitely continue with Mech Sorcs, running Brawlers as my front line until I get all the Mech Pilots. Otherwise, I should think about pivoting to what's showing up in my shop, as I'm already pretty weak. I have a Tier sitting on my bench, so I should look to pick up a second one for blue buff. Unfortunately, that got taken. Mech Sorcs relies on having defensive items for the mech, so I pick up a vest. Again, I get no Sorcerers or Mech Pilots. I can't wait for them forever, so I should start picking up some potentially useful units from what I've been given. Alawi is a new Brawler this patch, who is roughly on the same tier as Malphite. She does more damage, but is less tanky. I should have picked her up and thought about 4 Brawlers. In the meantime, leveling up to put in Star Guardian was a good move, even with losing Chrono, since they do more spells than auto attacks anyway. Since I won, it was actually better to stay at 10 gold than picking up Alawi, since I've been leveling and am pretty low on income. Being able to level up a unit I'm already running is always nice. I still haven't seen any Rumbles or Annies, which is not great for trying to 3-star them, which is what Mech Sorcs really needs to do well. Vanguards fits better with Star Guardians than Brawlers does, so I pick up some more Vanguards. I'll switch those in if I can 2-star them, as the Brawlers are still stronger for now. Nautilus is another new unit, and one I quite like. He is the same cost as Mordekaiser, but is tankier and does AoE stuns. He also has the new Astro trait, which reduces the mana costs for Astro units if you have 3 of them, allowing them to cast their spells sooner and more often. This is an interesting shop. I finally get Annie and Rumble, but I also get my first 4 cost, a Jinx. I go with the Jinx over the Mech Pilots. It would be hard to run Mech Sorc from here, since I would need to do a lot of rolling, and I don't have a lot of gold, even if I didn't level. It's better to put in the Jinx and switch to thinking about how to build a board around her. I 2-star a lot of units this turn. I think the strongest board I could make would be Jhin, Caitlyn, Blitzcrank, Malphite, Poppy, and Leona. My damage dealers would both be 1-star, but I would have lots of tanky units to give them time to take down the enemies. I would also have Chrono, so this would speed up that process. This is where actions per minute really matters. I didn't act fast enough to be able to switch out and reposition all those units, so my board was weaker than it could have been. With a 2-star Ahri, what would be my strongest board now changes again. I like what I used. It uses all of my 2-stars and has some solid synergies. I also like my positioning as I protect my sorcerers on both sides. This board is fine for now, but I really need more damage dealers. I have a Tear, a Bow, and a Vest on my bench, and I'm not sure what late game build I want, so I'm pretty flexible. With the components remaining, I take the Cloak. I want to make this into Runons, which is an excellent item on Jhin as it allows him to do 2 shots every time. I'm aiming to put him and Caitlyn in instead of the sorcerers as soon as they are 2-star. Luck is on my side, as immediately Caitlyn gets 2-starred. Even though Jhin is 1-star, I think the Jhin and the Caitlyn is better than 2 sorcerers, as putting them in would give me Chrono. I also get a Teemo and an Ashe this turn. The board I had was a fine option, but I have a clear direction now for the final build. I should have sold the Vayne to get 20 gold for sure. If I'd switched out the sorcerers, I could have sold them, the Mord, the Poppy, and the Leona, and gotten well past 30 gold. This would allow me to have more gold to be able to roll to 2-star Jhin and the other Vanguards. The final version of this build I'm aiming for is Jhin, Caitlyn, Teemo, and Ashe as the 4 snipers. Wukong, Gnar, and Nautilus are my front line. At 8 and 9, I can add in Soraka and Lulu for Celestial and Mystic. If I'm facing a lot of magic damage, or find them first, I can also add them in earlier. Those units, though, aren't 2-stars. What I do here is very smart. I have a lot of 2-star Vanguards, so I switched to using all 4 Vanguards. I don't win, but I still think that this is a good example of playing flexibly. Cassiopeia is also a Mystic, and I'm picking up copies of her because I haven't found Lulu or Soraka yet, and so I can put her in, since I've been losing to sorcerers. Again, I switch a lot of units in and out. Teemo and Gnar are both amazing units, especially with Astro. I put Leona in since she is 2-star, but I think having Chrono would have been better, even though Wukong is 1-star. Blue buff is an amazing item on Teemo when he has Astro, as it sets him at 20 of the 50 mana he needs to cast his mushrooms every time. Since I have the core units I need, I should do some leveling to get them to 2-stars. Now that my Gnar is 2-starred, I have a very strong front line. Currently, I'm running 3 Vanguards and 3 Snipers. Putting in Ashe instead of Leona was a good move to get to the 4 sniper synergy, since having 3 of each isn't doing anything extra. I've been winning most matchups, so I don't need to worry too much about spending gold to roll or level unless I find myself falling behind. I can let my gold build up slowly to 50, picking up units I need when they show up in the shop, of course. I should also sell the Leona and the Vi, since I no longer need them. The synergies I have currently are too good to switch out anyone but the Poppy for Wukong once he gets to 2-stars. I have a Vest and a Rod on my bench. The best things to pick up would be a second Rod to put a death cap on Teemo, or a sword to either save for a second damage item for Jhin, or combine with the Vest for Guardian Angel for him. The sword unfortunately gets snatched right out from under me, so I go with a glove. This would be best for either Infinity Edge for Jhin, or Thieves' Gloves for Gnar. Gnar does both physical and magic damage, so Thieves' Gloves works exceptionally well on him, as he really can utilize any item, and you get essentially 2.5 items for him for the cost of 1. I'm managing my bench well here, not keeping any units I won't possibly run, to maximize hitting the highest interest tier I can. Once I get back to 50 gold, or if I find myself losing, I will think about rolling to 2-star more of my units. I could have used my Nico's help to 2-star my Jhin several rounds ago, but because I was already winning, I didn't need to. It's better to save it in this case to 2-star the harder to find 5-cost Lulu, or to 3-star my Jin, since there will be fewer copies of him later on. With most of my units now 2-star, I can think about using my extra gold to level to 8 to put in Soraka to help my team survive longer. I don't really need to pick up the 2 copies of Jace. He's an improvement over the Poppy, but really I want Wukong, so I can have Chrono again. These components are perfect for me. 2 gloves for Thieves' Gloves on Gnar, 2 swords for Deathblade on Jin, and the rod and vest become Locket of the Iron Solari, making my whole frontline tankier. I don't have a defensive item for Jin, so I'm protecting him by positioning instead. I keep losing to magic damage, so I definitely want to go to 9 this game to put in 2 mystics to get that extra magic resistance. I have never seen 3 Jin show up in one shot before. Since I have a Nico's help, I only need to find 2 more copies to 3-star Jin, who does a truly absurd amount of damage. My board still wins in most matchups, so I don't need to roll down yet and can save up some more gold. I don't know why I haven't made Locket yet, as those components are sitting there doing nothing, and that's an excellent item for my frontline. Force of Nature would be great, so I could have 2 mystics without having to level up, but that always goes first. Deathcap would work well on Teemo, and Double Deathblade is perfect for Jin. I go with the Deathblade, since it looks very likely that I will be able to 3-star Jin, and my Teemo is still 1-star. The game continues to be very nice in giving me the units I need. Soraka is a better mystic to have in than Cassiopeia, as she does healing, and I already have a frontline, so I don't need Cassiopeia's extra tankiness. Since I know I consistently lose to sorcerers, it would have been good to scout at who I've recently played to see how likely I am to go up against a sorcerer player, so that I could put in 2 mystic in those cases. I took a gamble here in positioning against one particular board. Since I didn't end up fighting that one, it didn't pay off. Here I lost due to bad positioning. My front line was too far over to the left, since when Nautilus got Zephyr'd, it allowed the backline of the enemy to just go straight for my backline and kill all of my squishy snipers. I've decided to run 2 Mystic over Chrono, but since I recently fought the Sorcerer player, that wasn't the best move, since Chrono gives me a large damage boost. I am also better off having all of my snipers on one side to increase the likelihood that they will focus the same target rather than spreading out their damage. This fight was so close that having that extra damage from Chrono might actually have had it go in my favor. With Wukong now at 2 stars, I put Chrono back in, temporarily taking out the Ashe, but keeping Mystic for that extra defensiveness. I also finally build Locket of the Iron Solari, which I should have done many rounds ago. With the magic resistance from my 2 Mystics, I am able to easily beat this Sorcerer's board. This is definitely the time to use the Nico's help, since I want to use my gold for leveling rather than rolling, so I can run all 4 snipers again as well as having the 2 mystics. Deathcap would have been the best item pick here. I went with the Lulu to increase the likelihood of getting her to 2 stars, but the rest of my board is so strong that I don't think it was necessary. Once I level up to 9, I have my final build. Now it comes down to positioning. I need to scout to see where the large threats on my opponent's boards are, and if they have lots of AoE damage. Ideally my snipers are clustered so that they go for the same target, but if I'm facing a target such as a gangplank, having them clustered makes them more vulnerable. Items such as Zeke's Herald and Locket of the Iron Solari require you to be positioned for them to get their full effect. I had a small mistake here in that the Wukong should have been in the middle because my Gnar was no longer in his range of effect. It didn't matter though because my damage output is crazy high. Since I don't need to level up anymore as I'm at the max level, I'm using my extra gold to see if I can 3-star any other units. I don't really need to though, since my Jhin is the most important one and he's at 3 stars, but it'd be nice to have. I definitely should have looked for the Zephyrs on my opponent since I only have one opponent I'm facing. My Jhin got Zephyred, which could have been really bad, but luckily I was able to defeat them anyway and win the game. Thank you for watching. I release a new video every 4 days, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you liked the video or learned something, please leave a like and comment if you have suggestions. Thank you.